Good evening and welcome to the second in a series of 3 live debates this week here on PLG-TV 13. I'm Matthew Fogel along with Forrest Berkshire, the editor of the Kentucky Standard, and Kentucky Standard reporter Randy Patrick. Our debates this week are consisting of the 3 races that are contested in Nelson County for the primary election coming up on Tuesday, May the 20th. Those races are all on the Democratic ballots. Last night we hosted the debate for Nelson County Clerk. A PLG production note, we are aware of some audio issues that is from last night's debate. We have done plenty of testing throughout the day today, and we hope tonight's sound is coming in loud and clear. And for anyone interested in last night's debate, if you want to watch it, you can catch it online at kystandard.com. And we'll also have a replay next Tuesday as well with the sound fixed. Meanwhile, tomorrow we host the debate for the Nelson County Sheriff. But in the spotlight tonight, the race for Nelson County Magistrates in District 4, the winner of the Democratic ballot to face off against incumbent Republican Jeff Lear in the November general election. And we have with us in the studio this evening the 2 candidates on the Democratic ballots in the race, David Shields and Bobby Settles. And we will now pause for them to give salutations to each other. Tonight's debate will consist of 3 minutes from each candidate for opening statements, then questions from our panel for 2-minute responses from each candidate, and then closing remarks from each candidate as well. We have designated the order of the opening and closing statements with a toss of a U.S. quarter, and the candidate who won that toss had the choice of opening first or second, noting that the same order will be done for the closing remarks. The winner of that coin toss this evening was David Shields, who has chosen to give his opening statement second. So now, opening remarks from Bobby Settles.
Good evening to all my neighbors in District 4. My name is Bobby Settles, and I am a candidate for Magistrate in District 4. I have lived on Ben Irvin Road, the family farm, most all my life, and been a Nelson County resident all of my life. I am the son of the late Paul Sarto Settles and the late Mary Rita Cecil Settles. I have 3 children and 7 grandchildren. I am married to Pauline Thompson Settles for 33 years. I have worked in sales and dealt with the public in some form since graduating from high school in 1977 from Nelson County High. I feel I can work with the people of the district due to my sales experience in the past. I am also a 3rd degree Knights of Columbus, Council 1290 here in Bardstown, a 4th degree Knight of the Monsignor McGee Council, where I have been listed as the head cook of the Knights of Columbus. We do a lot of different aspects of cooking, such as prepared chili in the past for the Nazareth people that live at Nazareth home, and also fixed the cook for the workers at the Habitat Humanity homes when they built the home in Nelson County. I am endorsed by the Teamsters Union Local 89. I think unions are important to this community. A lot of the voters in our area and just typical residents of Nelson County do belong to some sort of a union. I strongly support farmers in the Nelson County community. I have been farming in some capacity for most of my life. I feel that the farmers, if they have a tract of land or some acreage and they want to give a part of that to their family to build a home, they should be able to do that without going through a lot of red tape. Another issue I feel very strongly about is the youth of our county. I feel we need to support the youth of our county. We need to make some improvements on what is here now. We also, when I get elected, I will look into the cost of constructing a indoor pool type facility recreation building. We are now transporting our students from here to Lebanon at a very costly to the taxpayers. We need to keep that taxpayer money here. Not only that, but we also, the danger of the child on a school bus going that far and back. Thank you very much.
And now we'll have opening statements from David Shields.
First off, I'd like to thank PLG and the Kentucky Standard for hosting this debate and for the folks at home joining us. I'm David Shields. I'm 51 years old. I'm a lifelong resident of Nelson County, and I reside at Sullivan Lane between Samuels and Cotts Creek. I'm the 11th child of 13 children of the late Marietta and Estel Shields. I've been married to 22 years to Barbara Fulkerson. We have 2 daughters. Maria is a sophomore at Thomas Nelson High School, and Faith is a 5th grader at Cotts Creek Elementary. My wife and I are the owner and operators of Old Delaney's here in Bardstown for the past 24 years. We also own and maintain several rental homes for the past 22 years. I was a state certified Bardstown Nelson County volunteer firefighter for 11 years. I am a strong community supporter. I always have been and I always will be. I have supported numerous organizations in the past, from foster children, all the schools, whether they're public or private, local churches. For years we have supplied St. Gregory's with the sausage for their annual pancake and sausage breakfasts. Nazareth Villages, Special Olympics, Guthrie Opportunity Center, Bardstown Women's Club, Nelson County Little League, just to name a few. I have a few seniors that I help with the repairs and maintenance of their homes. Numerous people in the 4th District asked me to run again for this office. I enjoy working with people. I enjoy giving a helping hand. I have a strong work ethic. A lot of my friends call me a workaholic. I feel like I'm a good listener. I keep an open mind on issues. I do a lot of research, and I seek input from others before I make my decisions based on the information that I have. I appreciate the opportunity of being here tonight. Thank you.
All right, we'll now go to questions from the panel, and they will be 2-minute responses from each candidate, and there will be some time for rebuttal if we can keep those to the bare minimum on the rebuttal answer. And we'll go to Kentucky Standard reporter Randy Patrick for the first question.
Mr. Settles, my first question is for you, but Mr. Shields, you can respond afterwards if you would like. Mr. Settles, when I spoke with you earlier, one reason that you mentioned that you're running for magistrate is to help farmers. Could you please elaborate?
Going through the county and talking to some people, campaigning, asking for their votes, I've run across several farmers that have had issues in the past with having farms and wanting to give their children a 5-acre tract of ground to build a house on. And they've had to do several different things. One particular farmer, I'm not going to mention the name, did tell me that it came down to getting an attorney to get this done. I feel if a farmer has the land, he's earned it, he's worked hard for it, it's his land, he should be able to do with it what he wants to do with it. Thank you.
And any response, Mr. Shields?
Well, of course you can give them 5 acres and you can have it zoned off. You're going to have lawyers to record a deed. The problem you run into under 5 acres is then you got to have a public hearing and have the zoning changed. So there needs to be some work on that. I've talked to one farmer lives outside of town, and he's going through that right now, and he feels like he's been put on an undue burden of just having to give 2 acres to his child. So, sure, we can look at it and offer him some help.
All right, the next question comes from Kentucky Standard editor Forrest Berkshire.
Thank you. This question is for Mr. Settles. For Mr. Shields. But Mr. Settles, you feel free to respond. Mr. Shields, you have said you would like to see Nelson County's property tax lowered. How would you make up for the lost revenue, or what would you cut?
Well, the property taxes stayed the same in the years because of the growth we had. And so with all the assessments the way there are, and most of them they don't go down, they go up. Even some of the ones that are, some of the homes now are still over assessed. So I feel like it would be made up on the growth that we have here in the county.
Okay, Mr. Settles, any response?
Yes, I feel the property taxes could be lowered. I think we can do some, not to put it in a better term, trimming of the fat. Some of the things that the fiscal court does spend money on. That would be something I would love to look into when I got into the office, to just see exactly where we could do some cutting that wouldn't hurt anybody at all. Just and go from that avenue. Thank you.
All right, for this next question, we'll have Mr. Settles go first and Mr. Shields go second. And here's the question. If you were only fortunate enough to serve one term, what are 3 things you would like to see the county government accomplish during those 4 years? Mr. Settles.
First thing I would like to see them do would be, and I have run this platform the last time I ran, on getting some type of a aquatic center similar to what Lebanon has, not only for the youth, for our swim meets, but also for our all of the Nelson County residents that we have here that would enjoy going to a indoor swim meet or enjoy going just to spend the morning at a pool with their children. Right now, people are having to travel to Lebanon to do this, and I feel that would be the most important thing to get done. Also, the next thing would be, there's been talk about a western bypass around the city. If any of y'all have been out on the 245 corridor during school hours from 3 o'clock to 5:30 in the evening, it's a total mess from the one red light to the other, extending from 150 all the way back to Thomas Nelson High School. A western bypass would eliminate the traffic going through our town and going through even a road as small as Ben Irvin. It has a real narrow road. Simpson Lake is down there, guardrails to get the traffic off of that road and the school buses to go around over to hook up with Highway 62. And the third thing I would like to see done, I would like to see us try to lower the property taxes in the county for everybody, not just a few. Thank you.
All right, and Mr. Shields, 3 things you would like to see accomplished.
Well, first off, I'd like to see planning and zoning made more user-friendly. I'd like to see the construction of 31E completed from Nazareth all the way to Spencer County line, which Phase 2 is getting ready to start here shortly. And then the third thing is all the agencies getting together, like the water company and the fire department, and when they're upgrading these lines, talk about putting in hydrants where even look at the county kind of giving grants to put in hydrants out in that area when they upgrade these lines, because you can see a $200 savings with a hydrant of 1,000 feet of your house, and plus a whole lot more safety.
All right, and for this next question, we'll go to Mr. Randy Patrick.
This question is for both candidates. I've heard a lot of people say that Bardstown and Nelson County's planning and zoning laws are too restrictive, and then I've heard other people say that's what makes Bardstown and Nelson County the thriving, healthy communities they are, and that they actually protect farmers from development. What are your thoughts on planning and zoning?
Okay, we'll have Mr. Shields go first on this one.
Well, planning and zoning is to protect the neighbors, and from my time going door to door, I've been to Huntington Hills out on 31E, to Miller Springs, to Corman's Crossing, to Cross Creek, and you could see the homes where they're all beautiful homes, every one of them. It protects the neighbors from people locating a business in there. Now, there's some type of home-based businesses are allowed, but you won't have to worry about people coming into your residential neighborhood and parking 15 employees' trucks there and having all that noise. It's just, I don't know if it's the application process, is when you go up there to fill out the applications, they walk you through it. They're supposed to walk you through it, and then when it gets presented at the commission, you feel like you've done everything you're supposed to, and then you get denied. So, I feel like it should tell you up front, here's what you need to do, and here's all the rules. All the planning and zoning rules were passed by fiscal court. So it's just rules that this county and all of our leaders have agreed on, that's what we should abide by.
All right, and response from Mr. Settles.
There are issues with planning and zoning. I've been out, just as David has said, I've been out knocking on doors, and I hear complaints this, complaints that. I hear a lot of complaints about something needs to be done with planning and zoning. When I'm elected, what I plan to do is to have quarterly meetings and invite have it in a place where we can get several people in, and have all the residents of District 4 come to my meeting and tell me exactly what their problems are. You know, in order for me to go to fiscal court and say, hey, we got problems with planning and zoning, I need what those problems are. And I do intend to dig deep into that and find out exactly what some of the major problems are and see if we can't get those fixed.
All right, Mr. Shields.
And Bobby's talking about having meetings. I won't be having meetings, but you can call me any time of the day, 7 days a week, and I'll either be there for you or be at your house talking to you.
And Mr. Settles.
I am also available 24 hours a day by cell phone. My cell phone number is 502-507-3413. My home phone is in the phone book, and it is 502-348-0274. I can be emailed at bsettles@hilliard, HILLYARD.com. I do carry a smartphone with me, so I do get my emails instantly. I will return your call as soon as I get a call or get an email. I think the monthly meetings or the quarterly meetings is just a good thing, just to get together to see people's faces and get some interaction of what people think in the district and what I can do for them to make the district better.
All right, for this next question, we'll go to Forrest Berkshire.
This question is for both candidates. There's been some discussion in fiscal court recently, although they've not taken any action on this. But we wanted to get your opinions on this issue that's been in front of them. Should fiscal court enact a fairness ordinance to prohibit discrimination against gays and lesbians in housing, jobs, and public accommodations?
And Mr. Settles, if you can answer this first.
We currently, from what I understand, have a fairness ordinance in effect. The fiscal court has, I've been to the meetings, been going to fiscal court meetings regularly for the past 3 to 4 years. This discussion has been brought up. The fairness ordinance, as it reads, from what I understand, I haven't gotten a chance to dig into that to see what it is, but from what I gather from the magistrates and the judge, that this fairness ordinance is suitable for the county, and when elected, I will look into that, and again, I will voice my opinion on what my voters in District 4 want me to do. Thank you.
And now a response from David Shields.
Well, really, I don't have an opinion on it until I speak with people, but from where I was at the meeting, the fairness ordinance updated all the language, and then it added language for LGBTs. I think, now, in my own opinion, it was presented wrong. It was put on the agenda. The magistrates got it that Wednesday of that week. Come Tuesday, they was presented with the ordinance. I think some of them was taken aback by it. 2 weeks later, I believe, maybe a month later, the Human Rights Commission come and addressed the court. I think Mrs. Reed was the chairman's name, or chairwoman's name. And she talked about how it would protect people from discrimination from employment and housing. But she didn't mention none of the other things that was in there. And then, and that's where it was dropped off after. There's been no more discussion on it. I think what should have happened is they should have addressed the court first to explain what the ordinance was and why they was doing that. I have a little issues with the case out of Lexington, where the gentleman wouldn't print shirts and then was turned around and got sued by the Human Rights Commission. Now he's having to defend himself. I just felt like it wasn't presented right.
All right. The next question I will address, and we'll have Mr. Shields go first. Mr. Settles go second. The metropolitan areas of Lexington and Louisville now have merged city and county governments, and smaller communities are making an effort to merge more services. Do you see any possibilities in Nelson County's future for more cooperation between city and county governments? And if so, what would those services be?
I don't see people in the county going for a merged government. I don't feel like the people in the county would think it would be representative, but I would have to talk to them to find out. Services that they share are services that neither one make money on, and usually it costs money. The dispatch center, the services that they're doing, and they show a profit on it, well, they won't want to give that up. I wouldn't want to share my profit with them. So there's always room to merge and try to save and make it a whole lot safer and make it better. But I don't see the government's merging.
All right, and a response from Bobby Settles.
I don't feel that we're in Nelson County are ready for a merged government. We're spread out quite a bit over the counties. We have our own independent cities on their own, New Haven, Bloomfield, to name a few. But we do share some services now. I think with the Nelson County Fire Department, City Fire Department, they're housed in the same building. I do think there is some services that we could incorporate a little bit better, and I do think that the fiscal court and the city council could maybe get together and try to work out some differences that they may have. And again, when I get elected and get in, I will dig deeper to find out what we can do to not merge the county, but to merge the people that run the county and the city, and see if we can put those guys together and let us talk and get everything worked out. Not to be one government, but to still be two separate identities.
All right, this next question will come from Randy Patrick, and Mr. Settles, if you'll go first on the answer.
Recently, the Bardstown City Council has tightened its belt on giving to charities and private groups. Does the fiscal court need to do the same thing to cut back on what it gives?
I do not feel that the fiscal court needs to donate taxpayers' money to private individuals or private people at all. I do feel it's county taxpayer money. If the county taxpayer wants to donate money to that particular individual, then it would be left up to the members of the county, not the county government.
And a response from David Shields.
I don't believe the county should be in the business of donating. That's it.
All right. And let's see here. This next question will be asked by Forrest Berkshire, and Mr. Shields, if you'll go first on the answer.
Staying on the subject of giving to groups, recently Nelson County's government received statewide attention for spending more than $49,000 to fund private school transportation. Is this something you feel the county and the state should be doing?
Well, my feelings on it is, now state law requires that all children attend school until they're 18 years old. And the simplest solution to that, where we wouldn't be using county taxpayers' money, which is about $50,000 a year if I read the article right, and the numbers seems like it was low on enrollment. I just thought that was a low number for enrollment at Bethlehem and St. Joe and St. Gregory's and other schools. The simplest fix to it would be the legislators to require the Kentucky Education Department to provide transportation to all students, whether it's a public school or a private school, and let them handle it. And then the county, we wouldn't have to worry about that. There's an old saying, all good things come to an end. And so one of these days that might end, and then we're going to have to deal with the issue of coming up with that kind of money. I understand, and and the people that send their children to private schools pay tuition, and they also pay property tax, so they're not relieved of that duty. So, I don't have no problem with it. I still think it should be done on a state level instead of a county level.
All right, and a response from Mr. Settles.
I do agree with giving the transportation money from county taxpayers, and the reason is I've born, raised Catholic, been a Catholic all my life, attend church every Sunday. My father worked at Beams. He paid property tax, sent all of us to Catholic school. This is a strong Catholic community. And when I talk Catholic, private school. So I do feel that, the private people that send their kids to private school, it is their option, but they pay their share of county taxes like everybody else, and some of them that live in different areas have a higher tax rate than others. So I do feel that the county should continue subsidizing the Nelson County School Board, the Bethlehem High School, and the Bardstown City Schools with help on transportation of the students that ride those buses that do go to private schools.
All right, this next question I will ask, and we'll have Mr. Settles answer first. This week, there was some discussion at the fiscal court meeting about new prospects for the Nelson County Industrial Park on Springfield Road and a proposal to build a $1.2 million natural gas main to the park. Should the county be contributing more money and effort to industrial developments in an increasingly post-industrial economy?
I attended that meeting, and that subject was brought up, and there was never actually the name of the person that's looking to move in or looking to go out there was not discussed. The pipeline was discussed, and the magistrates decided to table it to the next meeting so they could get some time to think about it. I think they had just gotten this proposal maybe in their mailboxes a day or two before the fiscal court meeting. And I do feel that, the county, I don't know that the county needs to be in land development business. I really think they need to be in the business of taking care of the community and taking care of the people of the county.
All right, and an answer from David Shields.
Well, getting back to the industries and the manufacturers, if you go to Nelson County Economic Development site and on the website, got a great site, all kinds of information. If you go to Bardstown, visit Bardstown's tourism website, all kinds of information. So, and then if you go to the state's economic development, and that's where I feel like the companies, when they start looking, they start at the state level, and then they'll start pointing them. And we have all other counties and cities competing for this too. We should be in the business of trying to attract more jobs, and I don't have a problem with giving incentives. It's just getting them here to look at is what we need to work on and get them. And once we get them here, is just woo them in and show them how great of a place this is.
All right, and for this next question, we'll go to Randy Patrick, and we'll have Mr. Shields answer first.
Mr. Shields, was the Nelson County Fiscal Court right not to take a stance on the Bluegrass Pipeline when other county fiscal courts were passing ordinances or resolutions opposing it?
I think they should have took a stance that a private company shouldn't have the power of eminent domain. Other than that, and I feel strongly about that. I just don't think a company that's in business making a profit should be able to come in and condemn your property and take it for their use to make more profit.
All right, and an answer from Bobby Settles.
I do feel that the eminent domain should be used only for government agencies and not for private individuals, which this pipeline was a private deal. They did go to their people in the area, and some people did let them cross, some people didn't. The county had never given them permission to cross any county properties that I know of. So I feel that the eminent domain should not apply to private sector, which they are in business to make money. Thank you.
All right, this next question is from Forest, Berkshire, and we'll have Mr. Settles answer first.
I know we've already touched on taxes, but the Nelson County Fiscal Court hasn't raised property taxes in many years. Do you feel it is time to do so to provide some revenue for county services, or if you don't feel the time is now, when do you feel would be the proper time to consider a tax raise?
I am strongly against any tax raises. The government, the Nelson County Fiscal Court, our tax rate is below the state, what the state says we can go to. I do not believe in raising taxes. I don't know that there is a good time to raise taxes. We have a lot of industry in Nelson County. We have a lot of growth in Nelson County. Out doing my campaigning, I'm seeing numerous housings being built again. It was a kind of a downfall through the recession. We are back on the mends here in Nelson County, starting to build new houses. That means new tax revenue. So no, I am strongly against raising property taxes or any type taxes in Nelson County.
All right, and an answer from Mr. Shields.
I don't think I ever made a tax increase that I like, period.
All right. This next question will be addressed by myself, and Mr. Shields, you'll go first on it. Should Bardstown and Nelson County build an indoor swimming pool and contract with the YMCA or some other entity to manage it?
Well, there's a few people in the county that's brought this up and told me personally they do not want to pay any taxes to pour a swimming pool. I talked to a couple that wanted the swimming pool. One lady told me she had a list with 40 names on it. I think if YMCA would come in, if we just don't have the numbers here, to make a decision with that. I just don't think if we could build it without using taxpayers' money, then I'm for it. If we have to build it and the county has to maintain it every year, I'm not for it.
All right, and an answer from Mr. Settles.
I feel with the indoor pool, I am a supporter of the indoor facility, whether it be a pool or YMCA type facility. If in fact the county does build this facility or the city build this facility, I do think it should be ran by county or city officials. This is another project that I feel that the fiscal court and the city of Bardstown City Council need to work together to find a reasonable place to do this. And I do think that this facility, the initial investment, of course, is going to be huge. This facility, if maintained, all your other facilities around the county, they charge, around other counties, they charge a minimum fee for people to go swimming. I've got a daughter that goes to Lebanon. She pays $2 to go swimming. She takes her little boy. They charge him $1. She drives all the way to Lebanon. It costs her $3. That's $3 that she could stay here. She eats while she's there. That's restaurant tax money that will stay here. I do believe that we do need this facility, and I think there's places in the county government and the city government where, again, we can trim some fat and pay for this thing. As I get into the office, I will investigate deeper. I will go to Lebanon, where everybody goes swimming, and I will find out how Lebanon, with the population they have and the taxes that they don't collect that we do off of whiskey warehouses and different things that we have here, how they did that, can afford to keep it going, and then I will bring that information back to the fiscal court and the city council to see what we can do.
All right, Mr. Shields, response?
Well, from my understanding, and Lebanon Pool was built and then donated to the city of Lebanon. And then it's a high maintenance, costly project every year after year after year. So they don't have no initial capital investment involved in it, but they are having to fund to take care of that pool.
All right, and Mr. Settles.
That is what I would like to do. I'd like to go up there and talk to the magistrates of the Marion County Fiscal Court, along with the county judge, to find out if, in fact, what they do spend on this. And from what I understand, it was a privately funded property. We have people in the county that maybe we can get several together and get it privately funded. That's not out of the question. It doesn't necessarily have to be taxpayers' money to build this facility. It can be individuals. All we got to do is go out and ask. Maybe they'll say yes, maybe not. If they don't, go to someone else.
All right, Mr. Settles, you'll answer this next question first. It'll be brought to you by Randy Patrick.
Does Nelson County need door-to-door recycling?
I look at that a couple of different ways. Yes, I think it does need door-to-door recycling. Will the people use it? I don't know. So right now, that's kind of up in the air for me. I know we've tried it in some neighborhoods. It has been abused. I have talked with the people that work back at the landfill, and they're saying that the recycling that they do have out there is getting abused. That is something we could look into, but it's got to be monitored and well maintained.
All right, and an answer from Mr. Shields.
Now, you're talking door to door where they go around pick up the recycling.
Yes, sir.
You know, eventually it's going to come. We're going to run out of landfill space. It's better to start planning now, maybe just ease it in a little bit at a time, and then when the full force of it hits, because we're going to be required to do it before it's over with. And they should, you know, expand it just a little bit at a time where it doesn't have much cost, and the time you get to the whole county and you're there. I mean, if you just work on it a little bit at a time.
All right, this next question will be addressed by Forrest Berkshire, and we'll have Mr. Shields go first.
Now, I know we've already asked you what you would like to have in your first year or in your first term, but if you were to serve as magistrate for many years and then retire, what would you like for your legacy to be?
My legacy would be that if you call David Shields, he'd return your call. He'd show up to you. He'd show up at your house, and he did his research, and he was up front with you. He never led you around the bushes and drug you down the road and just kept promising you things that wasn't going to happen. So I feel like people would say I treated them fair and I respected them and I was honest with them.
And response from Mr. Settles.
My legacy I'd like to see would be that I was trusted while I was in the fiscal court. I voted for the people of the district that I represent and not for someone that wanted me to vote a different way because of some other issues going on somewhere else. I also would like to see the 245 traffic problem be solved, and I'd like to people say, you know, that Bobby Settles, he had a lot to do with getting this traffic in Bardstown straightened out. 31E definitely needs to be finished. They're starting on phase 2, I believe it is. I think they've already started doing some property acquisitions, and I would like to see that project completely finished and 245 4-laned all the way to the I-65 exchange.
All right, for this next answer, we'll have Mr. Settles answer first. And I recently talked with Dorcas Figg, our jailer, and she said this is a normal problem. She says this happens in phases, but it's constant phases. It happens over and over again. What, if anything, should fiscal court do about the overcrowding of female inmates at the jail?
The female population at the jail, I understand when the jail was built, it was not accommodating for that many females. You know, females do commit crimes just like males do. Expansion of the jail, I don't think is really feasible at this time, just because we've spent a lot of money on the jail. I would like to see, and not in my term, but start working on in my term, build a larger type jail facility somewhere, maybe in the vicinity of the courthouse, to where the transportation costs would not be as great, and the risk of a prisoner getting loose from the jail to the sheriff's car, from the sheriff's car to the courthouse, that may be something down the road that we can look into. But I do agree with Dorcas, the women population at the jail, again, she's at the meeting, she reports on it. We're paying other counties to house some of our women prisoners.
All right, and an answer from Mr. Shields.
The simplest thing would house what we can and house the rest of them in other counties. It would be a whole lot cheaper than building a new jail or expanding it.
All right, this next question will be asked from Randy Patrick, and we'll have Mr. Shields go first.
The Nelson County Fiscal Court has spent county money on improving state roads such as Bellwood Road and Nat Rogers Road. Is this something that the county should be doing?
No, the state should take care of the state roads, and what they did on both roads was needed. They're both one of the roads over there on 733 had the curves in it where it was a site and it was a safety issue. On that Rogers Road, it was a flood issue. I think we should have worked with David Floyd and State Senator Jimmy Higdon of getting that taken care of and pushing the Transportation Department to fund that. I think the county spent almost $100,000 on the 733 project. That's a state project. The state should have took care of it.
And an answer from Mr. Settles.
I strongly disagree with the county putting large funds of money into state roads. Everybody pays taxes. They got road fuel taxes that we all pay every day when we put gas in our car. That's the money that's made. Our fiscal court needs to work closer with our legislative leaders in the state to get this money funded for these particular projects without the county having to pay. We talked about where we're going to get the money to maybe do an aquatic center, or where we're going to get the money to expand the jail. There's $100,000 that was spent at Bellwood Road, and I'm not sure on the figure on the Bull Run project. Both were needed, but they were needed. The state needed to pick up the tab on that, and not the Nelson County taxpayers.
All right, this next question will be asked by Forrest Berkshire, and we'll have Mr. Settles go first.
Recently, road crews have been clear-cutting trees along roadways so that the snow melts faster in the winter, but some have said that this is unsightly. What do you think about this? Do you think do you support them cutting the trees back, or do you feel as if it's too unsightly?
The roads that are being cut back are mainly state roads. The county does do boom mowing, they call it, and they cut the tops of trees as far back as a tractor will go. What you're referring to is along a lot of your major roads. I know they did on the section down by Simpson Lake. They did go through there and clean all that up, and it looks much, much better. It's safer. There's no trees hanging over. Don't have to worry about ice storm breaking a tree over. They've done this in several areas, and I do think it is a good idea that the roads be cleared. There is a right-of-way on each side of that road that the state, county, city, whichever indemnity falls in that jurisdiction, should and are required to keep mowed and keep clean. So I do agree with the trimming of the trees, as long as it's on the county or state right-of-way, and if it goes into the private sector, they need permission from the private to do this.
All right, and an answer from Mr. Shields.
Well, I thought it looked better. I mean, it was a safety issue. A few years back, when all of our electricity was off, ours was off 3 days. Some of you was off 14 days. So, would you rather cut a few limbs back or be out of power for 14 days? On the boom mowing, some people complain about it, but nature takes care of itself. It'll bloom right back out, and next year you'll do it again. It'll bloom right back out, just like trimming landscaping.
All right, so we'll have Mr. Shields answer first on this next question. Many residential developments in Nelson County are on private roads, which are often dirt and gravel roads with almost no regulation. Should county fiscal courts push the states to change planning and zoning laws to allow more regulation of these subdivisions?
Now, you need to clarify your question. You're talking about private roads, or you're talking about roads with 3 homes on them? It'd be 3 homes or less.
No, it'd be less.
Yeah, no, I mean, they're private roads. On the newer private roads, the county does require a 50-foot right-of-way through there, and then the property owners to put so much into account to maintain that road. But no, they're usually 3 homes or less, and they're sufficient for them homes.
All right, and an answer from Mr. Settles.
Private roads, when a private road is developed, it's developed by a developer or developed by a farmer or someone that has decided to sell their property and they want to track it off. So that private road is the day of the sale, or when you buy a track off that private road, you are told up front, this is a private road. It is to be maintained by the 3 adjoining property owners. And I agree that the property owners need to maintain that road, and that the county should not be involved, or the state involved, in having to maintain those roads other than the encroachment off of the main road to that particular private road.
All right. This next question will come from Randy Patrick, and Mr. Settles, if you'll answer first.
Mr. Settles, last year the State Attorney General's office released a study on special districts, including special taxing districts, called ghost governments. And they found that those districts handle more money than the state's fiscal courts do. Is this a good way to operate local government, or should more of those services come under the authority of elected local leaders like the magistrates?
I'm not quite sure of your question.
Okay, I'll try to rephrase it.
Okay.
A lot of local government in Kentucky is done not by fiscal courts or by city councils, but by unelected taxing districts. For example, the library board, the soil conservation district, water districts. Some fire departments are run by taxing districts. Is this a good way to run government, or should those entities, should those services come under the authority and control of the elected leaders, like the magistrates and the county judge?
Nobody likes to pay property tax. Nobody likes to pay sales tax. Nobody likes to pay any taxes whatsoever. But in order to use these facilities that you have spoke of, library, soil conservation, all that is, I don't think that the fiscal court or the magistrate that should not come out of their tax base. Magistrates right now get $120,000 per magistrate, I think is what's in the proposed budget coming up for the 2014-15 year, and that money a lot of times doesn't go far enough to keep the roads that they have in their areas maintained. So I do feel that the library taxes and things of that nature that's on there now should be make sure it does go to the library, make sure it does go to the soil conservation. But I don't think it needs to come out of the magistrate's a fund of money for each area.
So if I understand the question correct, you're asking, should these people who was appointed either by the mayor or the county judge and approved by the magistrates and city council be held accountable for their budgets? Well, sure, they should be held accountable. And then they should be audited every year, report audit. That way, everything's up front, we know everything's being handled right, and the taxpayers' money is being spent properly.
All right, and that'll do it for the questions that the panel has. We'll reach closing statements now, and prior to the debate, we asked our candidates to prepare 3 to 5 minutes closing statements, and looks like we'll hit right in the middle. If you can hit 4 minutes, around 4 minutes from each candidate, then that will be good. And we'll have Mr. Settles go first on the closing statement.
First of all, I want to thank all of the people in District 4 for their support through my campaign. I've had a lot of warm receptions. I've had a lot of issues. If you all notice, when I knock on a door, I carry a notepad and an ink pen in my pocket. I do make notes of areas of the county that need to be worked on, and when I get elected, I promise you I will look into that. I can't promise you that they'll be fixed, but I will promise you I'll look into that. I want to thank PLG-13 for hosting us tonight. I want to thank all of the people. I want to thank David for being so cordial tonight in this debate. I think it's went real well. And I want to thank all my helpers that's been out there helping me, whether it be people putting up signs or people going to the doors. Also, I want to reiterate my information. I am located on Ben Irvin Road, 678 Ben Irvin Road. Live there on my family farm. I can be reached by email at bsettles@hilliard.com, cell phone 502-507-3413, home phone in the book again, but it's 502-348-0274, and I will be accessible at any time. So feel free to call me. I'll come and visit if I need to visit. If you just want to talk on the phone, I can do that too. If you want me to come out and look at the situation, I'll be glad to do that. So in closing, I do wish everyone in District 4 to please vote, first off, and please vote for me, Bobby Settles, as your next magistrate in District 4. I'll make one promise on this campaign, as I've told everyone. I've got it printed on cards and door hangers. I'll make one promise to the people of District 4. I will do the very best job that I can possibly do. That's the only promise that I can keep, and that's the only promise that the good Lord above and myself can keep. Thank you for your support, and have a good evening.
All right, and now closing statements from David Shields.
Folks, in less than 2 weeks, you'll have to make a decision of who is the best man for the job of magistrate in the 4th District. I've been to many of your homes since March the 1st. I campaigned door to door 6 days a week, 6 hours a day, to meet as many of you as I can before the May 20th election. I didn't campaign on Sundays out of respect to you and our families. When you call about an issue affecting District 4 Nelson County, no matter how small, who do you think is going to show up? Listen to your concern, do the research, seek your input, and use common sense. I am available, I'm accessible, and I am physically responsible. There's nothing hard about this job. You can reach me at 502-348-8565 at my business, Old Delaney's, or look in the book. My number's still in the book. I will work with the county judge and the other magistrates to keep our county moving forward in a positive way. So vote for David Shields on May the 20th, and I will serve you with dignity and honor, and always remember why I'm there. Thank you. And then I also want to thank Bobby for running the clean campaign. We was friends before this election, and win or lose, we'll be friends after this election. And thank all my supporters and the people that's been helping me. Thank you.
And that will do it for tonight's District 4 Magistrate Live debate here on PLG-TV 13. And that being said, if you're watching this on Wednesday, May the 7th, it is live. However, we are having several reshowings of this debate. The first reshowing will be next Wednesday, May the 14th, at the same time from 7 until 8 p.m. And all the PLG debates this week will be reshown in order for a debate marathon on Sunday, May the 18th. This one to be shown second. That will be at 3 p.m. on that day. We'd like to thank the candidates, David Shields and Bobby Settles, for joining us this evening. And thanks to the panelists, Kentucky Standard editor Forrest Berkshire and Kentucky Standard reporter Randy Patrick. And a special thanks to our producers, John White and John C. Gritton, doing once again a mighty fine job on the cameras and the microphones. I'm Matthew Fogel, and be sure to join us tomorrow evening from 7 until 8 p.m. as we host a live debate for Nelson County Sheriff. If you would like to submit a question for tomorrow's debate, you can email it to plg@plgtv.com. Once again, that email address is plg@plgtv.com. And most importantly, be sure to go out and vote on Tuesday, May the 20th. Thank you for joining us here on PLG-TV 13, and have an excellent evening.